UGC NET Reaserch aptitude. 1. When large groups of interconnected facts are considered together in a consistent manner, we get a scientific theory. 2. If in a research independent variables cannot be manipulated, then it is known as non-experimental research. 3. Which of the following is true about ex post facto study? A. The investigators attempt to trace an effect which has already occurred to its probable causes. B. The effect becomes dependent variable. C. The investigators have no direct control over such variables. 4. The per capita income of India from 1950 to 1990 is 4 times this study. Longitudinal. 5. Which of the following is the most essential characteristic of a research worker? Open-mindedness. 6. The decline of the British Empire should have spelt the decline of English. This statement is an. 7. To study the relationship of family size with income, a researcher classifies his population into different income slabs and then takes a random sample from each slab. Which technique of sampling does he adopt? Stratified random sampling. 8. Which of the following is the most read page of a thesis? Table of contents. 9. The historical research is different from experimental research in the process of a. Replication. B. Formulation of hypothesis. C. Hypothesis testing. 10. A statistical measure based upon the entire population is called parameter, while its sample is known as statistic. 11. Ordinarily, a good piece of research follows 4 phases. They are given below. I. Setting of objectives. 2. Collecting data. 3. Analyzing data. IV. Interpreting the findings. 12. Suppose you have a glass of milk, and with a measuring glass you continue to add half a c. of plain tea at every step, till your friend reports a change in judgment in the color of the milk. The quantity of tea added has just crossed what is just termed as absolute threshold. 13. Suppose one experimenter, E, in psychology, firmly believes that Brahmin children are inherently superior to the Harijan children. Naturally, he would never think of home environment as an explanation. This is a very obvious example of experimenter's bias. 14. Which one of the following approaches tries to analyze human behavior in terms of stimulus response units acquired through the process of learning, mainly through instrumental conditioning? Stimulus response behavioristic approach. 15. The approach which has its roots in Gestalt psychology is popularly known as dynamic and psychoanalytic approach. 16. Which approach emphasizes the role of instinctual processes and their modification in the course of interaction with the society? Holistic approach. 17. Which approach placed emphasis on human existence, the need to establish a sense of personal identity and to build meaningful links with the world? Existential approach. 18. Existentialism tries to reach modern man, offer him help in terms of clarifying his values, work out a meaningful and purposive existence. Psychologists who shaped this approach were Rollo May, R. D. Lang and Erich Fromm. 19. The system which still survives very nearly in its rigid forms is bibliography. Dynamic and psychoanalytic approach. 20. Which approach tells us that under normal conditions the organism is not a passive recipient of stimuli but an active, seeking and striving entity trying to master the environment and also master itself? Organism, holistic and self approaches. 21. Psychologists are sometimes interested to study consciousness even though they have no method of observing it directly except by using inference as the only tool. 22. The term unconscious motivation describes the key idea of psychoanalysis. 23. The psychologists who are especially concerned with increasing the efficiency of learning in school by applying their psychological knowledge about learning and motivation to the curriculum are popularly known as educational psychologists. 24. According to Lindquist, how many types of experimental designs possible? 6. 25. Who of the following has edited a survey of educational research? Book. 26. The polluted facts can lead to the birth of polluted research. 27. Photocopy of books is not considered appropriate, as it is violation of intellectual property. 28. The research papers are written to communicate the research. 29. Which one of the following generally does not participate in concurrence? Ignorant and dull persons. 30. In the assessment of personality, the normative and objective method refers to prediction of behavior on the basis of data from personality tests. 31. Which is the best format to use if content and material gathered for certain number of students by different interviews have to be compared in a piece of research? Structured. 32. What best describes the Likert technique of attitude measurement? Subjects indicate on 5-point scales the extent of their agreement with a set of attitude statements. 33. What can increase the power of a statistical test? Designing for small error effects. 34. Which is not the effective way of controlling a nuisance variable in an experimental design? Random assignment of subjects. 35. What are the types of descriptive research? A. Survey test. B. Questionnaire survey. C. Interview survey. 36. Who has defined ex post facto research by saying that it is a systematic scientific exploration in which the scientist, researcher, does not have direct control on the independent variable? Fred Carlinger. 37. What are the types of variables? A. Independent variable. B. Controlled variable. 38. What is the difference between laboratory experiment and field experiment? A. Difference of place. B. Difference of samples. C. Difference of variable. 39. Which experiments are more popular in educational psychology? Laboratory experiments. 40. In some developed countries like USA and UK, many psychologists are engaged for diagnosing learning difficulties and trying to remedy them. These psychologists are popularly called school psychologists. 41. Today, private and public organizations also apply psychology to problems of management and employee training, to supervision of personnel, to improving communication within the organization, to counseling employees and to alleviating industrial strife. The applied psychologists who do this work are sometimes called personnel psychologists. 42. A person who uses the particular psychotherapeutic techniques which originated with Sigmund Freud and his followers is called a psychoanalyst. 43. Finding the causes of behavior from a number of observations is called inductive reasoning. 44. The clinical method is ordinarily used only when people come to psychologists with bibliography, personal problems. 45. The technique of regulating various variables in an experiment is called experimental control. 46. Psychologists with the biological perspective try to relate behavior to functions of body. 47. A little girl Lenny pushed Bapula, her brother, off his tricycle. She learned to behave this way because the behavior paid off in the past. In other words, she learned to act aggressively in certain situations because she was rewarded for such behavior in the past. With which perspective, a psychologist can study this type of problem? Behavioral perspective. 48. The perspective which is concerned with characteristic changes that occur in people as they mature is known as development perspective. 49. A person's sense of self is emphasized by psychoanalytic perspective. 50. A key psychodynamic idea is that when unconscious impulses are unacceptable or when they make us anxious, to reduce anxiety, we use Defense mechanisms. 51. The distinction between a clinical psychologist and a psychiatrist is that a clinical psychologist normally holds a PhD or MA degree or Psy.D. Doctor in psychology, and a psychiatrist holds an MD degree. 52. The subject, psychology, was formally recognized in Germany in the 1879. 53. To study abnormal psychology means to study mainly the nature of unconscious mind. 54. Sigmund Freud is regarded as the father of psychoanalysis. 55. The unit of sociology is the group, whereas the unit of psychology is the individual. 56. The branch of psychology which deals with the study of animal behavior is known as comparative psychology. 57. The father of experimental psychology is Wilhelm Wundt. 58. Hypothesis refers to a tentative statement about the relationship. 59. Statistics is used by researchers to analyze the empirical data collected in a study. 60. An observation of a dependent variable response prior to any attempt to change this response is known as the baseline. 61. The most frequently used quasi-experimental design is the design non-equivalent comparison group. 62. A baseline. A is used as the standard against which change induced by the treatment is assessed. B is the occurrence of a response in its freely occurring or natural state. C is first obtained prior to the administration of a treatment. 63. A single-case experimental design in which the response to a treatment is compared to baseline occurring before and after the treatment is called what? A single-case design. B. Multiple baseline. C. Changing criterion. None of the above. 64. A literature review requires a. Planning. B. Good and clear writing. C. Lot of rewriting. 65. Which of the following is true about good hypotheses? It is formulated in a way such that it can be tested by the data. 66. Which of the following is true about footnote? It is essential in report writing. 67. While editing primary data, we have just to notice the information contained in the questionnaire is a. Homogeneous. B. Consistent. C. Complete. 68. Which of the following statements is correct about validity and reliability? A. When internal validity is high, external validity is low. B. When internal validity is high, there is no change in external validity. C. When internal validity is high, external validity is also high. 69. In a single-case design, you hope that the behavior of the participants prior to the administration of a treatment condition is bibliography. Not highly variable. 70. Which design would use analysis of covariance during data analysis? Non-equivalent comparison group design. 71. For the first time, the word psychology was used by Rudolf Goeckel. 72. The literal meaning of psychology is science of soul. 73. Rudolf Goeckel used the word psychology for the first time in 1590 AD. 74. Psychology as the science of mind was defined by ancient Greek philosophers. 75. Scientific psychology came into existence during 19th century. 76. E. B. Titchener, 1867–1927, defined psychology as the science conscious experience. 77. J. B. Watson defined psychology as the science behavior. 78. Psychology was defined as the science of behavior by behaviorists. 79. Who defined psychology as the scientific study of activities of the organism in relation to its environment? J. B. Watson. 80. Any systematically organized body of verified knowledge about a certain class of facts and events is known as science. 81. Psychology is a social science. 82. Why is it important to change one variable at a time in single-case designs? Changing more than one variable at a time confounds those independent variables. 83. Researchers can attempt to eliminate the threat of bias from the selection-maturation effect in the non-equivalent comparison group design by matching experimental and control participants on important variables. True. 84. Group comparison designs are always superior to single-case designs. False. 85. When you are confident that the experimental manipulation produced the changes you measured in the dependent variable, your study probably has good validity. Causal. 86. Identifying a factor to be measured by placing units or categories on a scale to differentiate varying degrees of that factor and describing these units in some manner is known as a rating scale. 87. If a researcher conducts a research on finding out which administrative style contributes more to institutional effectiveness, it is an example of applied research. 88. In case of ANOVA, if there are no treatment effects at all, then F ratio will be plus 1.0. 89. What is the nature of F test? Essentially a one-tailed test. 90. Who developed method of equal appearing intervals forming the basis of constructing attitude scales? Thurston and Chave. 91. What is an attitude scale with 5 points on it varying from strongly approved to strongly disapproved? Likert type. 92. What is an attitude scale in which each item's value is calculated by finding the mean or median of the ratings of a large number of judges on an 11-point rating scale? Thurston type. 93. Which of the following situations calls for the use of a ratio scale? He wants to show that X is twice as much in favor of nationalization as Y. 94. Which one of the following is regarded as the very breath of an experiment? Experimental control. 95. Mr. Ali has conducted an extensive review of the literature and has deductively reasoned a hypothesis about his problem on the basis of this review. Which type of a research plan is Mr. Ali likely proposing? Qualitative. 96. The directors of a graduate program in educational research wish to see what types of jobs the graduates take after they finish their program. They randomly sample students from the program and have them fill out questionnaires with items asking about the types of jobs they have had. They also are asked to describe the roles they play in their current positions. This project is best described as having what kind of objective? Descriptive. 97. When research is done to test hypotheses and theories about how and why phenomena operate as they do, then the primary purpose of such research is explanatory. 98. The variable the researcher matches to eliminate it as an alternative explanation is called a n variable. Matching. 99. Which of the following is not a longitudinal design? A. Panel. B. Trend. Both A and B are longitudinal designs. 100. Researcher selects only 25 members as a sample from the total population of 20,000, and considers the population was homogeneous. 101. The title page of a research synopsis must be aesthetic. 102. The positive correlation between teachers' salaries and the price of liquor is a. Spurious. B. Due to a third variable. 103. Which of the following is considered a special case of the general linear model? A. Partial correlation. B. Analysis of covariance. 104. When a researcher starts with the dependent variable and moves backwards, it is called Retrospective research. 105. The method of working multiple hypotheses refers to a technique for identifying rival explanations. True. 106. GLM refers to which of the following? General linear model. 107. In which of the following year Council of Scientific and Industrial Research Society was constituted as an? 1942. 108. The objectivity of the research is enhanced. A. Through its impartiality. B. Through its reliability. C. Through its validity. 109. Which of the following is the basic purpose of pretest interview in this case study? To identify the potential problem. 110. Which one of the following sampling type is used in operations test to select the units? Simple random sampling. 111. Which one of the following sets is the measure of central tendency? Arithmetic mean, median, mode. 112. In lab experiment the effect of variables is controlled to evaluate the causal relationship. A. Extraneous. B. Moderate. C. Intervening. 113. Internal validity refers to researcher's degree of confidence. 114. Which one of the following is not a step in non-experimental research? A. Determine research problem and hypotheses. B. Analyze data. C. Interpret results. All are steps. 115. If a research finding is statistically significant, then the observed result is probably not due to chance. 116. A researcher is doing a study of peer groups in middle school. She interviews 5 girls and 5 boys. She is doing a grounded theory study, hence, she decides to generate her codes as she scans through her transcriptions of her data. These codes are labeled inductive codes. 117. Sarah is a qualitative researcher studying how children and parents interact in Head Start centers. As she examines her data, videotapes and transcripts, she jots down notes concerning the interactions, generating hypotheses, suggesting relationships among categories of information she is examining and so on. This process of jotting notes as she examines the data is called memoing. 118. Qualitative data analysis is still a relatively new and rapidly developing branch of research methodology. True. 119. The process of marking segments of data with symbols, descriptive words, or category names is known as coding. 120. What is the cyclical process of collecting and analyzing data during a single research study called interim analysis? 121. Which of the following is a necessary conditions for causation? A. The relationship condition. B. The temporal antecedents condition. C. The lack of alternative explanation condition. 122. Which of the following is the weakest experimental design? Quasi-experimental design. 123. The development of a solid foundation of reliable knowledge typically is built from which type Reaserch? Basic Reaserch. 124. Which form of reasoning is the process of drawing a specific conclusion from a set of premises? Deductive reasoning. 125. Research concerned with the derivation of generalizations of broad applicability and only secondarily with any practical value is called fundamental research. 126. Which of the following is not relevant to analysis of the research problem? Attending seminars on research methodology. 127. Opinionaire is defined as a special form of inquiry to collect a. The opinion of a sample of population on certain facts. B. To quantify, analyze and interpret the collected data. 128. Sociometry is a technique for describing a. Social relationships that exists between members of a group. b. Attractions or repulsions between individuals. 129. Importance of sociometry lies in a. To have an idea of the group at a glance, to form appropriate groups of students for various projects and activities. b. To find out the changes taking place in the group structure and qualities of leadership appreciated by the group. c. To compare one group with the other to help the guidance worker by acquainting him with the pupil. Relationships. 130. In case of true experimental research, the investigator is always required to make a compromise between which of the following four is not correct. Internal validity and external validity. 131. While writing a research report, investigators mostly arrange items in bibliography in a single alphabetized list. 132. When researchers refer to a significant difference, they mean that the results of a study can be replicated by another similar study. 133. Free association in psychoanalysis means allowing a subject to talk freely. 134. There is only person who has defined educational research. He is W.M. Travers. 135. Who said, educational research is that activity which is directed toward development of science of behavior in educational situation. W.M. Travers. 136. Which is not a characteristic of science. Science is not free from emotional bias. 137. What is not the reason underlying the importance of research in education? It has moved to the center of the behavioral sciences. 138. What is not essential about a research problem? It should lead to theory building. 139. In a normal distribution, 100% of observations are covered by the following. 3.09s. 140. What can statistics do? Neither prove nor disprove anything, is just a tool. 141. Who said, statistics has been defined as the science of counting? Bowley. 142. On what is placed reliance in most investigations? Secondary data. 143. What is true about secondary data? Should be used after careful scrutiny. 144. To which aspect are related questioning assumptions underlying the problem? Analyzing the problem. 145. What does description of the research problem not include? Review of research done. 146. Which of the following is the least helpful to locating and analyzing problems? Examining everyday experiences. 147. The correlation between two variables in which the effect of some other variable or variables on their relationship is controlled is called multiple correlations. 148. What is the nature of the statement that experimental generalizations are statistical inferences? They can only attain a degree of probability somewhere along a continuum between truth and falsity. Wholly true. 149. Which of the following is not an advantage of non-parametric statistical tests? They yield statements of exact probabilities irrespective of the shape of the population distribution. 150. ANOVA does not assume that the treatment groups are drawn from a larger population.